everyone, we're The Violet Reality. My name is Casey Rain.
I'm Kim Camellia.
And we are back with another episode of your favorite show, Uncovering Prince. Hope you caught the last couple of episodes we did. Hans Martin Buff, Tamar. You know these people. You better watch them if you haven't watched them, because we get all the new info. That's how we do. Today we are here with the legendary Morris Hayes from the NPG. How you doing, man?
What's up, everybody? Hey, man, I'm good, man. Glad to be here.
Killed it last night in London. Amazing show. Thank you so much for coming out.
It was a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of fun.
Great to see you back at the Indigo, because I was there 21 nights. So.
That's crazy, man. But yeah, it was good to be back, man. And it you know, it was crazy when you walk in and you feel that same energy from like when we were there before. So many great shows that we did there, you know, with Amy Winehouse and Beverly Knight, and to have her back last night, man, it was cool, man.
That was insane.
Super cool.
That was insane. She is great.
Yeah.
She's so down to earth. I love her so much. Like
Yeah.
we were at the O2 last year when they did the exhibition there, when they brought all the stuff over from Paisley Park, and she came to the VIP and she talked with us for ages, and she's just such a wonderful person and amazing talent. So
she is, man, and it was just great, man. It was just a good vibe being back in there and everything, and the energy from the people, you know, was really good.
Definitely. So let's do what we usually do, and we usually go all the way back in time, start at the beginning and move forward. So let's go all the way back to the first time, or the first thing that I own chronologically that you're on, and that's the back cover of Mazarati 2.
Oh.
Wow. So you know we're going deep with this interview.
Going deep.
So I'll talk a little bit about the history for any of our viewers that don't know. So 1986, Mazarati are on tour with Prince. End of the year, Prince breaks up the revolution.
Yeah.
Brown Mark splits over to Motown, takes Mazarati with him because that's his band.
Yeah.
Does a couple of solo albums on Motown, just like that, Good Feeling, great records. And then starts working on Mazarati 2 with slightly different lineups. Some people have left. You got some new people coming in, including yourself.
Yeah.
So tell me how that happened. How did you end up in Mazarati?
It's crazy, man. I used to be in a band in Memphis, Tennessee called Fingerprint. And we ended up getting some opening dates for Mazarati. And this is the kind of short story, but we got some opening dates where we like opened for them in Memphis and like some places in Texas. And so when they started working on this second record, we got a call from Craig Rice, who was the manager for them. And he said, man, we want you guys to, the lead singer and myself to audition for the band. So, we went to Minneapolis, basically did this audition, and, we got it. And then we, went to the studio, and they'd already started working on the record. And then Greg Sane, and the guy who was one of the other singers, came on. And then we just started working from that point on the album, just like boom. And then, we're on Motown. I mean, that was like crazy because it's like that was always one of my dreams. I'd always seen those black and white pictures with the Motown M on it with the band. I was standing in the line, and I just said, "Man, one day, man, I want to be on Motown." And it happened. I'm on a black and white picture from Motown with the Motown M in the corner. I was like,
here we go. And this is before Motown was sold, so like
this was
Barry Gordy's
right
still
before,
running it.
So Barry Gordy's still there.
Nice.
And what happened is, of course, our record got caught up in the situation where once they changed hands to MCA, and a guy named Gerald Busby was the president. He had taken over, the situation at MCA, and they said, okay, they didn't drop us at first. It's like you had to redo the record. They wanted to redo it, and so. It was kind of a tumultuous time, man, because I thought it was great. The guys in Maserati was like, this sucks because, MCA was allowing us to produce it. Mark Brown had been producing it. And me and this other guy, Greg, are like songwriters. We want to be like, dude, this is our chance. We can be like Jimmy and Terry. Like, we can write. And the other band was like, they were all depressed. Like, oh, man, this sucks, man. Like, we don't want to do this. Mark did it. And so it was really crazy, man. But, and then, of course, when all was said and done, they ended up dropping the band anyway. When all the new people come in, that's what they usually do, is just clean house, man, and just like go through. But, yeah, it was cool making the record, at least. We had Michael Cimbello, who's always a guy that I loved to pieces, man.
Yeah, he's a genius.
Thought he was great, man. And Dick Rudolph, Minnie Riperton's husband, and just was some great cats, man, and it was some really cool stuff. You know, it's unfortunate it didn't really see the light of day because of the way the situation happened. I think a buddy of mine that was playing with Kenny Loggins at the time was in Japan, and he said, "Man, I got the Maserati 2 album." I'm like, "What? It didn't be released?" He said, "I'm in Japan, man. I got it on CD," and I'm like, "What?
Super limited release."
That's crazy.
I think a lot of even Prince fans don't know that there's a second Maserati album.
Yeah, I know. That's what's crazy about it, man. You know?
But it is a great album, and I'm surprised that the label didn't put too much more focus on it, because actually, like you said, you got some heavy hitters on it, Michael Cimbello, and I know there's a track on there by David Page and Steve Porcaro and Toto.
Absolutely.
Great track.
From them and from David, wait a minute. It's see, Mike Cimbello did the thing. Oh, and from Climax,
Bernadette Cooper.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, she actually had the single on that record.
Yeah.
You know, so that was really cool, man. I mean, Bernadette did a nice job on the song. That was cool, but I think there was another opportunity on that record that was kind of crazy, because at the time there was a movie called Scrooge that was going to be out with Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Right.
And they actually wanted to we did a cover of a Beatles song.
Come Together.
Yeah. But the thing is Michael Jackson's people shut it down, man. They was like,
because he already had his cover on the Moonwalker.
Yeah, he was doing a Moonwalker. He didn't want nothing to get in the way of it, and they shut it down. They said we couldn't put it out.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
So I was like, dang, he owns that Beatles stuff. And they did. Yeah. So MJJ's like, they're like, nope.
Yeah, I mean,
but that was going to be big. That was really what's going to launch the record, was that song was going to be in that movie, in that soundtrack.
Right.
And they said no.
Damn. It's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Legendary artist, but shrewd businessman.
That's business, though. You know, I ain't mad. I mean, it's like, it is what it is, because they were just happened to be at the same time.
Yeah.
And they didn't want anything blocking Moonwalker, man, like anything for that. And that was going to be a big deal, you know, that movie and everything. So you know, that it happens.
So one thing that I think is really interesting about Mazarati too, as well, is that the first Mazarati album, you just have Terry Casey doing vocals. The second one, you have Terry on some tracks and Greg on some tracks. So why was that? Was Terry kind of like not completely committed to it anymore? Or?
No, I don't think it was that. I think it was, you know, the one thing about that band that I found interesting is that it was different from any other band that had been in, that this band was run by Mark and management. It's like, you know, the band itself had limited power. Like, Terry was not like Prince, like where he could just call the shots and it's going to be like this. No, Mark and Craig called the shots.
Right.
And everybody had to kind of like roll with whatever they came up with. It was Mark's band. It was his concept. It was, you know, so he ran the band basically. So it was like, this is what's going to happen. ABC 1, 2, 3. And that's what we did. You know, we did what they wanted us to do. And so I think that they thought that it needed a different vibe going into, you know, the next record. I guess the only thing I kind of recall when doing that record with the drummer Cal at the time, and it just was such a departure from what, you know, we were moving into the 90s. Like, it was starting to come into this whole kind of New Jack swingy kind of vibe that, you know, the music was kind of hip hopping and I think we just kind of got out of our element, like the funk and the rock kind of side of it, and tried to conform to the sound that was happening. And I think that probably was a lot of the reason why it probably just did not really float.
I think that happened to a lot of bands.
Yeah, and it just, I think even like Cal trying to get how that feel was. I mean, it just was like, you know, trying to get somebody from Def Leppard to play some hip hop. It just was like, it's just got a different vibe on it, man. And I think that was kind of one of the issues, I think, with the situation at the time.
I remember around the same time Ready for the World did a New Jack album, and it wasn't all that. Sorry, if you're watching, I still love you.
Yeah, but it's just like when you go outside of your, I mean, it's nothing wrong trying to make something new, but I think you have to stick close to what made you and what, you know, what your vibe is, and you know, what's, you know, where you're from. I mean, so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But, you know, that's the one thing I have to say I loved about Prince. You know, anything that he touched on that he wanted to do, rap, whatever. The first people was like, I don't know Prince rapping, but he had a vibe. He had a vibe, like Sexy MF.
Definitely.
Because he approached it differently, and it worked for him. He wasn't trying to be Dr. Dre or any of the other cats, but it just like coming from a musical place.
Yeah.
It just worked.
I think my favorite hip hop track that Prince did is probably "Acknowledge Me." That slammed so hard. Oh my god!
We used to like to play that too, man. It was we had a lot of stuff going on in that track, but it was fun to play, man. It just had that cool break. Michael Bland just laid there. He just fat backed up to death, man. He was funky on that, man.
Yeah. So after Maserati, before you were in the NPG, did you also have a brief stint with the Time?
Yeah, man. It was like 1991, and
so after Pandemonium.
Yeah. What happened is, they did the movie, and they had reunited the whole band for Graffiti Bridge. And then, they had done that record. They did Pandemonium, and then they were doing tour dates. And Jimmy Jam and Terry was with them, but Jimmy Jam and Terry was at the height of their production gig. They were working on Janet. They were working on everything. And so for me, I was like, oh my gosh, man. Jerome called me. Say, yeah, man, Jam and Lewis can't do the gig, and so we want you to come and do the thing. And I'm like, because that was also one of the things I remember when I went to see Prince in 1982. The Time and Vanity 6 and all them was there, and I remember seeing the Time. I said, oh my God, man, they're awesome. I'm gonna play with them dudes, man. And then when Prince came on, I said, oh my God, that dude's awesome. I'm gonna play with him too. And so that was kind of like the first part of that, saying that that's what I was wanting to do, man. That was the first part of it, was the Time. And then it was great, man. I learned a lot. And like Jelly Bean was the MD, and man, he was tough, man. He kind of really set me up for what it was going to be like with Prince. And man, I didn't know Morrison played drums like that. I came in one day, nobody was there, just Morris was there. He took his jacket off and he had his vest on. This dude is killing the drums, man. And Prince told me like, oh yeah, man, Morris can play, man. I was like, what? And he went in, man. I was like, dang, this dude is funky, man.
Yeah.
No wonder he knows, he knows.
I think a lot of people don't realize that's him playing drums on New Power Generation.
Yeah, they don't know. They don't know. And they don't know. And a lot of people don't know. I mean, Prince told me him and Morris did all of those Time records. Just Morris on the drums. I mean, like the walk. He said, yeah, man, we need a cool drum. Prince told me, he said, I told Morris we need a cool, like, intro little drum feel. And Morris just went, bam, he just hit it, like, right off the top, just, like, straight off. And I was like, you're telling me he just went, you just said we need an intro, and that was the intro that he did on the walk, was just like that. And I was like, man,
crazy.
Just one take, Morris is a bad dude, man.
So then you're in Maserati, you're in the Time, and then, but there's another thing before you're in the NPG, and that's being in Carmen's band.
Yeah.
So in Carmen Electra's band with Greg who was G-Sharp, who was also in Maserati with you. There's one thing that's really interesting, and I don't think you've ever spoken about it. I don't think anyone's ever spoken about it. So Prince is working on Carmen's record for ages and ages and ages, like 2 years or something, like from start to finish. Takes her on tour to the European leg, Diamonds and Pearls. After about less than 2 weeks, the drummer quits, the bass player quits, the guitar player quits, and you, Levi, and Michael jump in. Sonny and Levi and Michael jump in. You're already in the band, jumping with you to be in Carmen's band as well as playing with Prince. Then you do like 3-4 more shows with them in the band, and then your last show is here in London at Earl's Court, and then bam, Carmen's off the tour. Yeah. What happened?
Well, it's funny. I think, first of all, the band didn't quit. Prince fired them.
Right.
Right.
So
that's an important distinction.
That is a distinction, because, it's one thing to say he was just out and he got unhappy. Prince decided to he called me up. It's crazy, man. He called me up in my room. It's like somebody from Paisley Park called me and said, Prince is gonna call you in like 7 minutes or something like this. It's like, I'm like, and so like, just hang tight, he's gonna call you. Okay. So he calls me. And he just kind of tells me the reason why he let the band go. And he said, 75% of you guys didn't get it. in terms of like what I'm trying to do here. He said, you get it, hence you are here and they are gone, is what he said to me.
Right.
And then he asked me if I had a tablet so I could make some notes. And he just kind of told me he's going to have his band, because they worked on that record. He said, just teach them the arrangement. They pretty much know, all this stuff anyway. You just need to show them, the ins and outs. And so we had a couple days here, I think here in London, before we started the Earl Courts dates. And then he just had me go over some stuff. And it was crazy. When we did the shows, I don't know if it was because, I don't know the exact reason why we only did a few of the shows at the Earl's Court. We did the shows here. I don't know if he felt like now the energy's all different. And so I'm just going to like table it now. I don't know exactly what the reason was, but I recall the last show. I remember going, and it's funny, George Michael was there.
Wow.
And I'd seen a lot of people, I think some of the Royals, but George Michael was backstage. And I was just kind of, he was like really, I had seen him out in the audience, like just dancing, jumping up and down like a cheerleader, man. It was crazy. And I remember going back to the dressing room and just tell Prince, I knew we were going to be going home. Me and there was only a couple of us that stayed over, to two dancers and the other keyboard player. And I just, wanted to tell him like, hey man, I appreciate the ride. I thank you for having us out and that sort of thing. And he just said, your work is not done here, kind of thing. Like I didn't know what that meant, but okay, like Carmen coming back or what? But and George Michael was super cool too, just a nice guy, just really nice guy. But that was really cool, and sure enough, what he was elaborating to is that you'll be in NPG down the line,
right?
And that's what it kind of was. Because I was like, it was really, but he would do stuff like, it was very cryptic, and like, cause I remember his birthday happened during that tour when we were in like, I think Berlin,
right?
And he came over to me, and it was funny because he really didn't talk to a lot of the guys in my band that much. But he came over and was talking to me, and Prince would be always sharp, man. He always be clean. And I was looking, I said, man, you look like clean all the time. I said, man, I said, the elves got you hooked up. I called them the elves, the girls that made his clothes, because he had like 12 or 13 girls at like upstairs at Paisley Park that sold all his clothes. He had a wardrobe department, and I called them the elves. I said, man, the elves got you hooked up, man. You can always be clean, man. He said, you'll be hooked up in about 6 months or something like this. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I don't know. Like, and he just was real cryptic, like kind of say some real stuff, like, and I'm like, what does that mean? And I don't know. So, but I mean, again, later on, I came to find out, he knew. But Carmen would tell me, like, he really likes you. I think he wants to get you in the band. And Maite would tell me, too, I'm like, get out of here, man. He's got Barbarella. He's got Rosie, man. He even got room for 3 keyboard players. He never had 3, But they knew.
So he kind of already knew that Rosie was probably on her way out, and he was going to... Yeah, well, I know he kept her around trying to do an album.
She had quit. I guess she had quit before.
Right.
And then, this time she made it stick, And I think he could see the handwriting or, see that coming up. So, and sure enough, when she left, it's funny, I started hearing all these people was like calling me and congratulating me. And I'm like, for what? Like, you're in the band. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Nobody told me.
Nobody told me, right? And so it wasn't until I went to the Glam Slam, man, that I walked in, and one of the Gilbert Davison, who was one of Prince's bodyguards, but then had started taking over Paisley Park and was his partner at the club, was at the door like waiting for me, and I'm like, what's up, Gil? And he's like, do you want to be in the band? Like, he cut to the chase like immediately. And I'm like, I said, well, Gilbert, I don't know, man. I said, these contracts, I hear about these contracts, are crazy, man. He said, don't worry about he said, okay, I already told Prince you said yes.
Because nobody says no to Prince, right?
No pressure.
And so I said, well, Gilbert, you probably should. He said, Morris, it's going to be cool. Don't worry about it. And I said, well, Gil, I was funny. And I was like, oh, okay. Because he knew when I went in, Prince was already upstairs. And he knows he's going to see me and he's going to ask me like, yeah, man, you know, you're in the band and whatnot. And I'm going to be like, what? And then he's going to be like, freaking Gilbert, he didn't do
a job.
So Gilbert did catch me beforehand, so I kind of had the full warning. And then when, you know, Coach and Prince asked me, I was like, wow, that's great. So, you know, it's kind of crazy.
Wow, that's amazing.
So what's the kind of lead in time from this to then, like, you're starting rehearsal and starting shows like straight away? Or?
It was when he asked me, man. I think that was in August. It seemed like it was in August. It was after the tour. You know, we had came back, and I think that was all final in like July, I think. And so it was like late August, early September kind of thing. And I just was, to be honest, man, when he said it, I had two feelings, man. It was really two emotions that happened when that happened. You know, he says it, you know, and I made a big joke out of it when I was sitting with him. He was like, hey, man, you want to be in the band? Need some work, grandson? Need some work? I said, yeah, I'll be able to mow that yard for you first thing Monday. And he had a big laugh, you know. He says, no, man, in the band, you know, like that. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, I was like, yeah, you know. I was like, yeah, that's cool. So I was all excited. Like I'm walking back to my car and I'm going like, oh my God, this is like, oh, man. I'm like walking back to my car like, man, this is bananas. And then the other half of the way, it kicked in like, oh shit.
Yep.
Like, if I blow this, I'm gonna be the laughing stock of Minneapolis, man. Like I'm gonna be like, I just had that feeling like, bro, I'm way over my head. What has just happened here? And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm in trouble, man. I'm gonna suck. And they're gonna be like, okay, thanks for trying, and we'll see you. Because everybody in town knew. And if you don't get it, then it's like, oh yeah, man, that's too bad, bro. Wasn't good enough, huh? Oh well, always got the bar band.
And that's probably happened to a few people, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I just knew like, oh man, I'm gonna be the laughing stock of the city, man. Like I've been out here doing stuff, and now I'm gonna be like, oh my God. So I'm in my car now driving home like going like, dude, I have tricked these people, and I'm in a world of trouble. But you know what, man? When I got there, everybody was so cool. Michael Bland and Barbarella, you know, Kirk and all the other people that had advice for me, that talked to me about different things and just kind of gave me some advice. Everybody was really cool. And, you know, it was a lot of work. It was really hard, but it just worked out. You know what I mean? It just worked out.
I guess you had no idea at the time that would take you on a 20-year plus journey.
Bro.
Most people don't stick around that long.
Man, for Prince, dude, that's bananas, man. And I, to this day, man, I have to wonder. I don't know why he kept me for so long. I really don't. It's one of the things when he died that I just like, I'll never know. And I was too afraid to ask him, like you know, because I didn't know if I wanted to know the answer. But after the fact, I just think about it and go like, I mean, like, why? Because he's had so many great keyboard players, man. You know, look, man, I'm a realist, man, bro. I'm fully aware of what I do. I'm grateful for my gift. But there's so many, you know, so many players that he have that's far better than me in terms of just flat out play. So it's very good on the technical tip. That's what I think I was good at. You know, I introduced Prince to a lot of technology because I knew about it. I even told him when I first came into the band, I said, you know, Prince, my keyboard stuff is better than yours, bro. That shouldn't be the case. You got way more money than me.
Yeah.
But I know about this gear. He said, fix it. So what I did was I made a lot of trouble for myself. When he saw what my gear could do, he was like, oh, if you can do that, then you can do this. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm thinking I'm showing off like my tech. And he was like, oh, you just created more work for yourself. And I was just like, yeah, but that's going to be hard to make it. Well,
but you did it.
And it's like, oh man. So now I really opened a can of worms for myself and made work a lot harder just showing off. You know, I was like, I didn't know I was going to get in trouble like that. But it was something, you know, and it really ushered in, you know, and I think one of the things that will go down for me is I had some influence on Prince is when I was with the Carmen's band, and when I was in the band that we was the club band for Glam Slam, he came to the rehearsal, check us out, and I was triggering loops. Like we played his song 17 Days and some other stuff, and I used drum loops. I took a drum loop from this band called TKA and put it on 17 Days and blew his mind.
Nice.
He heard that loop under his track and was like, stop the presses. Levi called me and told me, said, man, Mo, he said, you got Prince flipped over, man. He went back to Paisley, like, stop the presses. We got to do what Morris is doing, like with these loops, and put them under the track, like what he's doing to just make the whole song just kind of move and do the thing. Hey, Mackenzie, what time we leaving, bro? Okay. That's Mackenzie. So it really, that was like crazy because when Levi told me that, I was like, wow. He's like, yeah, he said, dude, Prince flipped out, man. He's like, dude, he's got our track and he's got some groove underneath it. And it's like humping, it's like, and that track I used from TKA, it was pretty dope if I recall, man. It was kind of had a lot of stuff in it, and it really made the song kind of move, and gave it a new vibe. And he just was like, wow. And so, and then from that point on, ever since then, he was on that from now on. That was the way it was.
That's dope.
So that was cool, man. So I think that's what I brought to the situation, the technology side and that sort of thing, and the innovative side on that front. As more, because Renato's like, Lisa Coleman and Renato, like, two of my favorite players that he had. Like, they could just, Lisa had just such her texture, just like unbelievable. She did an amazing texture. And then Renato just could play. You just put him on a piano and let him go. Yep. But I mean, like Barbarella and Cassandra O'Neill, like all of them are just like amazing players, just like they sit down and they can just play, like piano players,
Right, yeah.
And they could cover some ground, and so for me, that's not, I play parts, you know what I mean? I can hold my own, but that's what the thing was. So, and what I came to understand was this orchestration and where you're part within the group, and everybody had a superpower. It's like the Justice League is the way I always look at it. It's like everybody's got their own individual superpower, and you bring your situation to the whole, and then you orchestrate it, and everybody's got a part to play, and then it all comes together. And when you all do that, and you all work like that, and you work like a unit, Prince used to tell me all the time, like, Michael Jordan could shoot 60 points in a game and still lose the game because the rest of the team didn't step up.
Yeah.
He was great, but they still lost the game.
Yeah.
So until you get the team to play like a team, you can't win in the NBA with one player anymore. They got three dudes that's stars that's going to blast you, man. And so the whole team's got to hold up their end, and that's what I learned from Prince. It's like everybody's got a part to play, and when it all comes together, then we kill.
Yeah.
So you don't have to play like Chick Corea Morris. You just hold this down. I'll get him to do the solo. I'll get them to do this. I'll do this. You know what I'm saying? And that's what made it all work.
I think the thing with knowing like the tech is that because technology moves so fast and changes, you have to stay on top of it. Whereas you can be a great piano player, but it doesn't change. It's not going to.
Right. And that was, I think that was my edge in the situation, And the other thing is, man, I just always never wanted to be the problem, man. I never wanted to be the reason why something got held up or missing flights or just there's a lot of time the band, man. Them being late and it causing problems is what causes them to go home. And so I just never wanted to be in that boat.
No. It's better to be able to rely on you.
Right. And that he knows that Morris is going to be where he needs to be. He's going to get his work done. He's going to blah, but that's important. And I think a lot of times you can overlook, he made a mistake or he did this. Overlook it because he's like, he's solid. And it's like you want to be solid.
Kim Berry was telling us that Prince never said that he fired anyone. He said you fire yourself.
Well, I guess that's a good way to look at it if you're in a position, because you don't want to have to say I fired somebody. But I guess at the end of the day, that's true. I mean, because as long as you're doing what you are supposed to be doing and you're doing it well, I don't see any need to fire you. But the thing is, though, sometimes it just would become like everybody still does something, but he just wants to change the sound.
Yeah.
And so that's just, I'm just feeling like a different thing. And Prince would do that. He just cleaned house. He'd do it. People that was like working for him, like lawyers or people who worked at the studio. I mean, it's just like he just like new blood. And sometimes just like, okay, everything out, everybody out, and we're gonna start fresh. And so he would do that from time to time. I was fortunate, man. I just went through a lot of changes, and I just somehow I managed to stay. Just the thing was hiding in the back room behind the curtains, and so he didn't realize I was still there until he was like,
every time we were cleaning house, you're like, no, not me.
"It's Morrison there. He's still here. Oh my God, he's still here."
All right, everyone, that was part 1 of our exclusive interview with Morris Hayes from the NPG as part of your favorite series, Uncovering Prince.
Make sure to like this video, leave us a comment to tell us what you think, subscribe to us, and hit the bell to receive a notification anytime that we release a new video.
And stay tuned for part 2, coming real soon.
Hey, I'm Anna Fantastic, and you're tuned in to The Violet Reality.